Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. We haven't talked for about 2 weeks. We haven't summarized the weekly summary due to, as you know, I'm Israeli, due to everything that is happening in Israel. So welcome back, and a quick reminder that anything and everything that you see on this channel is, of course, not financial advice. It's only for entertainment and educational purposes only. Let's dive into what is going on with the market. And just before that, if you're going to enjoy everything you see, it would be great if you can subscribe to the channel. Let's dive in. This week, the market fell. Dow Jones fell by 1.6%, Russell 2.25%, S&P down 2.39%, and the Nasdaq fell 2.9%. We're going to talk about all the reasons for that. These are the sectors you can see, except energy and consumer staples. All the rest, we see red arrows across the screen, with real estate and consumer discretionary leading the red arrows. You can see them here plotted on the chart itself. Mainly the carnage started Wednesday, and increased Thursday and Friday. Netflix reports didn't help because Netflix went up, while Tesla, another big component of the major averages, fell by at least 10%. On the other hand, everyone is waiting for the new Bitcoin spot ETF to be approved. And Bitcoin currently, while I'm recording, is hovering above 30,000. It's kind of playing around with a 29.5 and 30,000. In the last few days, you can see that Bitcoin is up 4.3% and Ether is up 1.37. And the Magnificent Seven, as I mentioned Tesla earlier, you can see Nvidia down 8.9%. Amazon down 3.5%, Apple down 3.3%, Meta down 2%, Google down, Microsoft down. Everything is down. Remember, we talked about the inverted yield curve. Well, it's almost not inverted anymore. You can see that 10-2s are now only minus 0.1. If you remember, it was a bit more than 1% or minus 1%. This might be a reflection of the fact that we are entering a recession, or we had a recession, meaning we have no idea about the recession. Maybe 2022 was already the recession because we had 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP, but since no one declared it, no one knows. Right now, we see the inversion going back, and that is very, very good. And why am I mentioning that is because the 10-year touched, or actually passed over 5%. Now it's a bit down to 4.9, and that is something that is not, let's call it, cool by the market. Of course, yield going up means that the stock market usually has trouble in going up. When we see the inversion between the 30 and the 2, you can see that that's it. No more yield inverted on that front as well. Fear and greed, CNN fear and greed gauge is on the fear on the lower side. 26 is the count, meaning that we are again in the territory where, in theory, you buy stocks when it's fear and extreme fear. Over the long run, you will probably see better gains. And all these companies reported in the week that we just finished. You can see we had the banks, basically most of the banks, the big banks finished altogether. Most of the banks have finished reporting. Solid reporting from the big banks, a bit more hiccups on the smaller banks, makes a lot of sense. United mentioning that the fact that they're stopping their flights to Israel is going to impact their earnings and revenue, and also high oil costs or fuel costs also is going to impact their reporting, and the stock tumbled this week, which is a continuation of a lot of damage that is done on that front. ASML sees a sluggish 2024. Her stock went down as well. Tesla, with a disastrous earnings call, stock, as you saw, down 15% on the week. And Netflix, on the other hand, growing back their subscribers and up 15%. AT&T with a good report. Nokia with not such a good report, and you'll see later in the news that they're letting go of 14 or 16,000 of their employees. Apparently, they have 90,000 employees. Intuitive Surgical as well, not a good report, and the rest depending on that. And if you can see through the chart, the table itself here from Fundstrat, 81 out of 500 S&P 500 companies have reported, which is 16%. 74% of them beat expectations. 6% surprised those expectations, meaning as of today, we are pretty much okay on the reporting front. Probably. Okay, let's talk about news. Powell says inflation is still too hot or too high, and lower economy growth is likely needed to bring it down. But on the flip side of that, he also says that he believes that the hikes are pretty much done. He hasn't said it in so many words, but it's clear that that is the path that he's going forward. This is Christina Personevelis from CNBC that's reporting that the U.S. is increasing their export control on high-end and smart chips. This mainly will impact NVIDIA and AMD and other high-end artificial intelligence chip producers. But NVIDIA came out very quickly saying that it does not expect, at least in the near term, meaningful impact on their financial results. The reasons for that, according to NVIDIA, is because they have a so robust backlog that even if you eliminate the Chinese orders in there, you still have a lot of backlog. GM is delaying their all-electric production at the Michigan plant. They are already in strike for 3 weeks already. So that's GM, that's Ford, that's Stellantis. And if you listen to Elon Musk, again on the disastrous call, he mentioned that getting profitable on the Cybertruck is going to take at least a year or year and a half. And if Tesla is going to take a year and a half, I don't even want to think how long it's going to take GM, Ford, and others, meaning that not only are they going to increase their spend because they're going to pay more of their workers, but also they're not going to be profitable. I expect bankruptcy in the next few years for one of the big three. Solar stocks are getting hammered during our year to date. You can see it here. SunPower down 71%, SolarEdge down 70%, Enphase down, Sunrun down. And on Friday, or actually between Thursday and Friday, Thursday after the bell, SolarEdge CEO says that during the second part of Q3, they saw substantial unexpected cancellations and push-outs. He now, just like Elon Musk, blames the higher inflation rate, and that sent SolarEdge stock tumbling down. It says here 21%. It reached 30% after people started buying it back. Again, it was down, and the chart looks very, very bad. Amazon says they're going to start their online shopping services in South Africa in 2024. We're going to see Amazon in a few slides as well. And this is Larry Fink from BlackRock. He says the following: more people are running into flight of quality like crypto. The same person that in 2018 said that crypto is fraudulent now is hugging crypto. All this in the hours before the ETF, hours might be a lot of hours before the ETF, the Bitcoin spot ETF, might be approved. It hasn't been approved yet. And this is Lucid. As you can see, at least they produced 3 cars for the photo, but they have very, very difficult time in producing cars. They've just delivered 1,457, if I count them correctly, cars during the quarter. As of this quarter, they were supposed to produce and deliver, if I remember correctly from their SPAC documents, around 45,000 on an annual basis. Divided by 4, that's about 11,000. They basically created 85% less than that. I don't know how long the Saudis will be able to support that company. Maybe eventually they'll just take it off the market and then they won't need to report anything else. China is trying to fight their tumbling stocks, and their next great idea is you're not able to short Chinese stocks, or at least Chinese companies will not be able to short Chinese stocks. Anything they can do to try to prevent the continuous tumbling of their stocks. And if we're talking about China, this is Tim Cook, the Apple CEO that went on a surprise flight to China, trying to ease the tension between the government and iPhones, because China, a very big market for Apple, if I remember correctly, between 20 and 25% of the revenues coming from China, is going to slow down. That is not good for Apple, and that's why he went there. Nokia, as I remember, 14,000, is going to cut up to 14,000 jobs. They have around 90,000, so they have still a lot of room to grow. And also, this was announced November 30th. The first Cybertruck deliveries are going to start. No one knows the price. No one knows the size. No one knows everything. By then, we will probably know. We just have a month and 9 days from the day I'm recording this. And the reason why in the weekly summary I'm bringing this slide up, and thanks to Evan from Stock Market News that produces this, is there is a notion by retail investors that you should buy very, very cheap stocks. You should buy stocks that are going down because they might go up and you will become a millionaire. Well, I can tell you that all these stocks got to 52-week low at some point during October 19th. Why am I mentioning that? Because they have been at 52-week low almost for the last 2-3 months, which means that they keep going down. If they keep going down and you keep buying them, it means that you will keep losing money. It does not mean that they're a good opportunity. It does not mean that you should buy them because they're cheap. It means that the market is signaling with big signs telling you they are not investable at the current time. This does not mean these are bad companies. This does not mean anything. All it means is that the wisdom of the market, Mr. Market, is telling you now is not the time. Yes, there are good companies here, but it's very important to say that. And again, might be that Monday is going to be the last day that they're going to meet 52-week low. I don't know. All I know is that this is a word of advice from my experience in the stock market. Buying companies that are that keep getting the, let's call it the trophy of 52-week low is never a good strategy for the short, the medium, and the long term. And this is not financial advice. You can do whatever you want at the end of the day. And let's talk about Nick Timiraos. Nick Timiraos is what we call the Fed whisperer. He conveys the message that Powell doesn't want to convey by himself. And he just said the following, that he believes that if growth cools along the lines of the September and stays and hold, if strong demand, I'll summarize it and tell you that what basically he wants to say is that a lot of damage has been done to the markets, and now probably we do not need to raise rates again. And of course, he's saying that the Fed Governor Chris Waller says that, but basically that's Jerome Powell. Let's talk about Amazon. Amazon is starting to deliver medication with drones in Texas. The way it's going to look is the following. Check it out. They're going to put the box inside the drone. The drone is going to come hover, whether it's top of your driveway, your backyard, and it's going to drop the box. You will be able to get it very, very fast. Interesting concept. And this is a report from Leslie Picker from CNBC that says that she talked to Morgan Stanley CFO Sharon Yeshaya that said the following. Their customers, Morgan Stanley Investment Bank, have in their portfolio 23% in average by cash and cash equivalents. Cash equivalents, short-term duration assets. Meaning that this money or this report coincides with Bank of America report that says that there's about 15% of cash outside the market, can be and might be the fuel for the year-end rally. On the flip side of that, most of the major averages look like they're rolling over and they're on a downward spiral. If the bulls don't wake up during the week and start pushing the market up, we will see new lows, at least short-term lows in the next few days. And this brings us to next week. Next week or the next few days are going to be very, very interesting for the market. 25% of at least 25%, of the NASDAQ 100 are going to report this week. Whether it's Microsoft, Alphabet, Google in the regular word, Snap and others on Tuesday. Wednesday, we're going to hear from Meta and others. Thursday, we're going to hear from Amazon. A lot of big companies are reporting, and this is almost the most robust week. The next 3 weeks are the biggest weeks for the market, for the reporting of the market. The Fed officials are in blackout, so we're not going to hear from Fed officials. We might see a few reports like the PC during the week and others, but they're in blackout. They're not able to speak right now. And now we need to talk about the S&P 500. This is the view of the S&P 500 on, let's call it the year-to-date way. You can see that the red line here is the 200-day moving average. On Friday, we basically sliced through the 200-day moving average, closing at 42.24, very close to the lows of the 3rd of October 2023, the 4th of October, and the 6th of October. Last time we sliced through the 200-day moving average was March, and previous to that, it was December, and previous to that was the low in October. What you should be aware of is if we break this support around 42, what's the low here? 42.16, it means we will create a new low on our downward projection. This is not good to the market. The reason for that, why is it not good? Because it means that we might be headed down to 38,100. All this after most of the bears started capitulating, and now the market went against them again. So basically, what the market is sending, the message that the market is sending us, trade the market that is in front of you and not the market that you want to have. If you enjoyed everything that you saw, it would be amazing if you can smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm Micha from America, Stock Talk with Micha Stocks, where we summarize the week. And on a personal note, these have been very, very difficult 2 weeks in Israelis' history. It's probably going to be a few more weeks, a few more months of difficulties and war against the terrorists that have done a massacre in the northern parts of Israel. Now, I'm not going to turn this channel into a political channel, but all I can tell you is anytime and every time you hear of the horrors that are going on between the Israelis and the Hamas in Gaza, always think, on 9/11, were you ever on the side of bin Laden or the Taliban? If the answer is yes, then you can get to a point where you support Hamas. Otherwise, you're probably on the wrong side. I will stand by Israel. Thank you very much. See you next time, next week. I'm Micha from America. Bye-bye.